Hi, welcome back everyone. Glad you checked into my channel again today. I have some things on my mind today, um, and I hope to be able to express them cogently. I need to kind of put some caveats up front. So far, up until this point on my channel, I have pretty much just limited myself to recounting my weight loss journey uh, and describing everything I did rather than I kind of never crossed a line into advocating what others should do or give recommendations or advice. Um, Today, I'm going to cross that line a little bit. I'm going to maybe just make some general recommendations. Uh, and so before I do that, I just want to add a caveat up front. I am not an expert. I am not a doctor or a dietitian or a nutritionist or anything of the sort. I'm just a guy on YouTube with a weight loss story and some increasing body of experience. And it's experience that I want to share. Um, so with that said, I mean, my advice is to everybody, don't just listen to one person or don't look for a system or a method, whether it's me or anybody else. Uh, Listen to a number of different voices. Um, be wary of experts, by the way, that are, I mean, you got to really be careful with experts. Who's funding the experts? What are they selling? Are they guided by government or industry? I mean, it gets real murky, and I don't need to recount here. I don't have the time to recount all of the bad advice that's given in terms of weight loss or diet. I mean, so, I mean, not that there's not any good experts. There are plenty of good experts, but you got to do your diligence and you got to research it and look around and find people that you trust to follow. And they're out there. There's plenty of them. Uh, with the Twitter and social media and YouTube or whatever, you can uncover a lot of different good voices. Um, it's not to say you should never not listen to an expert like myself. You should. I do. I prefer, I seek out just average people. Uh, Not trying to sell anything, just with a story to tell or share experiences. Uh, this is, I find quite satisfying. Anyway, so don't look for one guru or one system. Keep an open mind. So, with that said, I'm offering this, my advice, simply with the expectation that not everyone, it's not going to work for everyone. Number one, it might, there might be 25% or 50% of the people to find some aspect of what I say useful. Uh, there's going to be a substantial number of people, I'm sure, that don't need my advice or don't want it, and maybe it wouldn't work for them. That's fine too. It's all good. Um, the reason I'm even at the point where I'm offering advice in the first place, you might think, well, who are you to offer advice? Well, I mean, since I've been on my weight loss journey and since I made such a large transition, a giant transition, I've really set out to try to understand why I was able to do that and understand why did it take me so long to figure it out, and maybe I can then, once I understand it, share it with others. So I spend a lot of time thinking about it, um, um, lurking online at various forums and Twitter and um, YouTube, whatnot. I'm listening to many different voices, especially many of their weight loss stories, success stories, or weight loss journeys. People their struggles with weight loss. I'm listening to a lot of this. And as I listen to it, I can't help but compare to what I did. It's just natural. And I start to see certain patterns that people in their discussions and their struggles. And I recognize certain things that I did differently that I think may actually be important to talk about. So I'm not saying, I mean, let's be honest. I'm honest with myself. I think the kind of transformation that I undertook, 57-year-old guy, north of 350 pounds, a little over a year and a half later, 169, 170 pounds, through diet and meal timing and some exercise. You don't see that many transformations quite so dramatic wherever you look. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything. It's true. Especially and also considering the age, you see sometimes very dramatic transformations for people that are younger. And my advice to anybody out there that is younger, don't wait. Do it when you're younger, because it is easier when you're younger. The older you get, things change, metabolism changes, and the body just doesn't respond like it used to. So yeah, so for my age and the degree of transformation that I undertook, I think it was quite exceptional when I compare to others. Not that I'm better than anybody else, not that I don't applaud everybody who's struggling and making an effort and losing weight, whether it's 10 pounds or 20 pounds or whatnot. I support everyone. It's just because of what happened to me, I think I have something to add, and I think I need to share it. That's all. I've said this many times. So with all that said, the things on my mind today kind of relate. There's kind of 3 points I want to make, and it all kind of points to the same thing. What I see people doing often is it's a journey. I mean, first of all, it takes a lot of it. You got to overcome a lot of inertia to start a weight loss journey. It took me forever to build up, enough inertia to say, all right, I got to do something. I pretty much lived with my head in the sand and just, I'll do something next month, that kind of thing. So you get over that hurdle and finally say, all right, I'm going to do something. All right. So a lot of people, they're at that point and they start. And so they got some inertia and some excitement and a commitment and a rah, let's do it. The thing is, what I see a lot of people doing is that the first part of their journey, they're not giving enough time for an adaptation to a new way of eating. They're not giving enough consideration to really fundamentally adjusting their lifestyle, because that's what it takes. You can't just look at it like I'm going to do a diet. You've got to change yourself fundamentally, and it takes a while to do that. I consider it like the beginning. You go back to training wheels. You've got to learn how to eat again in a new way, and it takes yourself a bit of time to adapt to that, both physically and mentally. And people don't give enough time for that. In the beginning, you need to adapt to a new way of eating, conquer that, master that. Be a master of your food, and be comfortable with your way of eating. And then when you see progress, that you're losing weight, that's in the beginning, adaptation and mastering of your new way of eating. And then there's just time. It's going to take time, depending on where you're at, depending if you're 10 pounds over, 10 pounds to lose, or if you're like me, you got close to 200 to lose. There's a period of time where you just got to grind it out and keep doing the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. Uh, and then the final phases are, approaching your goal. Things will slow down a bit. Um, and you can do some different things towards the end. So I guess my whole point is to view the whole process as a journey, and don't try to do everything right up front in the beginning. Okay. And I'll explain now what I'm talking about specifically. Um, what I see, the advice I'd like to give, first of all, I see people not fully willing to let go of some of their favorite foods. And well, let me backtrack. Not favorite foods, but foods that I think you need to let go of and eliminate. You need to eliminate a lot in the beginning. You need to just let it go and do the difficult stuff in the beginning in order to get through successfully to the end point, where it's much easier if you've done the hard work in the beginning. So what do I mean by eliminate? I mean eliminate for sure sugar in all forms, and I would say at least refined grains in all forms. I mean, really, you want to get your carbohydrates you want to really limit your carbohydrate. Maybe some vegetables, some leafy greens, that kind of thing. But I'm of the persuasion that you've got to really try to eliminate as much as possible carbohydrates. For sure, the sugar and refined grains. But why is that? It's because you're going to be fighting. If you try to hold on to that, it's just going to make it more difficult for you. It's like having a millstone around your ankle and you're trying to run a marathon. It's always going to be pulling you in the wrong direction. Carbohydrate intake, it turns to sugar once it gets into your body, into your bloodstream, which generates an insulin response. And once the insulin response is generated, any kind of fat burning is shut off, or for the most part, it's all shut off, and you go into fat storage mode. And if you were like me, the reason you're overweight in the first place is because you've been in fat storage mode way too much of the time, and not much in fat burning. And so therefore you've accumulated a lot of extra weight. So you really need to work hard to favor the fat burning mode. So give yourself a break and lay off the carbs real hard, especially in the beginning. Eliminate it all if you can. You can do things different towards the end. You can start to bring back, like I said, after you've conquered hunger and your way of eating, and you're making progress. But in the beginning, do the hard work, and I call it just getting over the addiction part of it, because that stuff, when your blood sugar is going up and down, and you're toggling between the fat burning and fat storage modes, it's the blood sugar thing drifting up and down becomes like an addiction. When the blood sugar goes down, it's going to send a signal to feed some more carbs, and it's hard. It's hard to battle that. So that's essentially it. Try to do the hard work up front and really remove all that stuff and go to an elimination where you're just eating no processed foods, no refined grains. Don't hold on to that. It may come in later down the road when you're towards the end of the journey, or certainly in maintenance. Once you have a whole new control and retrained retrained your expectations of food, you can pick and choose when to bring things back in. And you might be really surprised at what you may not want to ever let back in. So that's the first bit of advice. A similar one, this is very similar, is I see a lot of people with this whole idea of cheating days, splurges, rewards, and it's like you start off and you make a little progress, and maybe you're 5 weeks in, you've lost 13 pounds or 15 pounds, you've got a great start going, and then you want to have a reward, a splurge, or again, it's similar to the elimination. I don't really recommend that at all. I wasn't persuaded to do that. In my journey, I didn't have any rewards in the beginning at all. I didn't see the logic in it, and I just resisted the temptation to have a reward. The thing is, when you're in that mode, with the training wheels on, and you're trying to retrain yourself to a new way of eating, you don't need to have that kind of temptation going on. Your body's going to be confused. Oh, okay, one day it's okay to have 3 meals and some junk, or oh, now we're back to strict 1 meal a day or fasting and this kind of food. It's just not consistent. So to me, save the splurging and rewards for the end, for when you're in maintenance. Get in your mindset that yeah, you can have everything. You don't have to consider that any foods are off the table permanently, just not right now. Not when you're in this mode of relearning and retraining and finding a new way of life. That comes later. So yeah, have a reward, but not in the beginning. Just anyway, I'm not a big fan of it, but I see people, people have trouble recovering from that, and it's depressing. You have a momentary, you make progress, and then let's say you blow it a little bit for a couple of days, and you put back like 6 pounds, and okay, it's going to come right back off, but it's kind of depressing, and it's not really worth it, and probably you'll feel bad too. If you've been eating clean and then you eat bad. So my only advice on that is just forget about the rewards. I mean, at where I'm at now, I guess the only kind of splurges or rewards I did were maybe to eat more, not to change what I eat or to have a blowout day, eat a bunch of junk. I might have just had, a couple extra pork chops, or maybe ate 1.5 meals a day, something like that. Didn't really change what I was eating, maybe ate more of it. Where I'm at now, it's completely, I mean, I can have whatever I want, and sometimes I do. I don't hesitate if the situation arises to have some different foods. I don't consider it a reward or a splurge. It's just I will tolerate a bit of different kinds of foods if I want to. And I actually look forward to once in a while demonstrating to myself that I have that kind of control. Yeah, sure, I'll have this, a bit of this dessert, a few bites of it, or I'll have this kind of carby appetizer. Let's see. Let's see what it tastes like. I'll enjoy myself a little bit, but it's a limited amount of it, and it's once in a while. So certainly, this is just to sum up my second bit of advice. Rewards, that comes later on, and never, I would say, something that I would plan like, you know, all right, I'm going to eat Monday through Friday, real clean, and then I'm going to, on the weekend, it's going to be anything goes. I would never plan to have that kind of a structure because I think there may be some people that can do it. In fact, I've seen some people that can kind of manage that way, but I think you're walking on a tightrope there, and you might be just something that could send you off. Life changes, circumstances changes, your focus, you get distracted, something gets you down a little bit. If you're down a little bit in the splurging, I mean, I've lived it. I've lived it before. I had some success with weight loss when I was younger, and then a couple, two, three things change, and then it's gone. It's gone in a heartbeat. So that's kind of, I think the point is made on that. Again, in the beginning part of your journey, don't even go there. Just do the hard work up front and forget about rewarding yourself. That's going to come later. The final point, I think for now, the final point, there's others, but these are just three that were on my mind today, is the whole topic of exercise during weight loss. And it's, again, the same thing. Exercise, I'm just going to say it, is, of my opinion, has almost nothing to do with weight loss. I mean, you can exercise until the cows come home, and it might have a tiny marginal effect on the weight loss, but it is almost entirely, the weight loss part of it is entirely based on how good you're doing in your diet. Now, exercise is great health benefit. I'm a strong advocate of it. I do it 6 days a week, but I didn't start doing it until at least like 6 months into my journey. I was exercise free for 6 months. And that's what I recommend to people. Don't try to clutter up your adaptation to a new life with this thought of exercising or rewards or holding on to carbs. Just make it clean. Just concentrate on one thing and build a foundation on learning how to eat properly. For me, on my journey, if you watch my videos, that meant, I pretty much just ate, I got rid of all processed foods and almost all carbs. I ate vegetables and fresh foods, natural foods, and I ate once a day. That was kind of the key that unlocked weight loss for me. And with no exercise. Just master that and get it down. Build a foundation, before you take that next step. So just to kind of sum up, I see people trying to take the next step and the next step early on, too early, and they haven't fully changed. Because I got to say, it is a change. You can't think, this isn't easy. It's not going to be easy to change yourself. I mean, we have patterns just that have been drummed into us over a lifetime. The same patterns, the same eating patterns, the same emotional patterns, the same stress patterns, sleep patterns, work patterns. These patterns all kind of reinforce each other. You're trying to break free of those old patterns. So it takes some mental focus and some concentration and some willpower, but do one thing at a time. And my suggestion is conquer diet first, conquer hunger first. Get that down, get in a pattern, build a solid foundation based on good food. My recommendation is low carb, like I said, no grains, no sugar. Break those sugar addictions. Do it up front. If you watch my videos, you'll remember that I went through 3 phases up in the beginning, not by any kind of a plan. It was more something I stumbled on. But the first 3 phases were carb reduction, then a fast, and then eating clean 1 meal a day. And I did that, and it broke all of my prior food addictions, my addiction to sugar and carbs. I was able to break that. And it took me a while to realize that those addictions were broken. It wasn't just I woke up one day and said, oh, I was concerned for a long time that I would drift back into old bad habits. Now I don't even, I'm way beyond that. There's no way I'm drifting back to old bad habits. I've moved on. I have a new attitude about food and a new appreciation for food. The foods I like now are different. So the temptation is not there. But I don't think I could have reached this point without doing that kind of cold turkey approach in the beginning, without the rewards, without clinging to some carb friendly food, some comfort foods, and trying to clutter it up with the exercise up in the beginning. So I think maybe I've made that pretty clear. I hope it's been pretty clear. Um, it's sort of the same theme. Uh, don't do everything at once. Build a solid foundation. Get on a roll. Uh, you'll know when you kind of have mastered food and you're in a routine that seems stable and you're not constantly driven by cravings. Uh, when you reach that point, start walking. Start 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 taking care of yourself. You can start thinking about exercise, but again, ramp up slowly, especially if you've been relatively sedentary like I was. Do it slowly and then build. Um, Again, you always keep in mind to don't take on more than you can sustain. Because everything's got to be a permanent change. So I'd rather you wait too long to add exercise than do it too early. Because you do things too early, you can become discouraged if you fall off the wagon. Of course, if you fall off the wagon, you can get right back on, but you should never throw in the towel. That's also one of my mottos. Don't ever give up, because you can do it. But the thing is, that's also hard to rebound. If you fail, if you kind of make some progress and then fall off the wagon and regress, you got to kind of rebuild the inertia, and a lot of people are in that kind of a cycle and can appreciate that it is hard. But to make it easier in the long run, down the road, like when you're in maintenance, it is easy if you've done the hard work up front. You see a lot of people say that, well, losing the weight is not that bad, but keeping it off, that's the real challenge. I I sort of disagree with that. Maybe it is depending on how you lose the weight, but for me, uh, no, losing the weight was the hardest part. Getting started was the hardest part, and finding a successful diet and way of life was the hard part. But after I came out of it, where I'm at now, which I would say I'm in a maintenance uh, frame of mind right now. Um, it's really not hard. I don't live with temptation. I don't struggle to avoid certain foods. I'm not. I can't even imagine what it would take to throw me off the wagon. I'm always upbeat. But anyway, um, that's why I'm sharing this, because I wish, I would think everybody probably wants to be like in the frame of mind where I'm at right now, of feeling sort of invincible. Um, that's where you want to be, right? All of us. Um, Not that I don't have goals. I do have goals. I'm not done by any stretch. I've got my goals now are I'm pursuing are more fitness goals. Um, I'm going to continue with my running, continue with my strength workouts. Uh, I want to, I've lived a lot of my life just and kind of abused myself, my body. Um, and, thankfully, I'm sure I did some damage, but thankfully the damage doesn't seem to be that severe. And I didn't uh, fall off into a major chronic disease. And I can proceed forward and try to be, right now my goal is just to be the best version of myself that I can be. I'm not going to be Mr. Rock Hard Abs and flexing photos on here. If you've come to this channel for that, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I just want to be the best I can be and live a longer, happier, healthier life. That's what makes me happy now. So I don't know. I hope I've made some sense, um, and people don't take it the wrong way. That I'm, telling people what you must do. Uh, I'm just adding a viewpoint to the mix. Like I said in the beginning, listen to a lot of viewpoints. That's my main recommendation. Listen to a lot of viewpoints. Listen to a lot of people, um, and then think about as you're listening. Think about what makes sense for me. What can I do? Um, what will work for me? That's how I got started. I kept my eyes and ears open, and then when I first heard about eating once a day, it just clicked with me. I said, that seems like something that will work for me. I can make that work because I could really control one meal a day. But if I've got, I'm on the go, I'm at work, I'm at the office, I'm at lunch, and I can't plan all my meals with a deal of structure. And once you start eating out, I said one meal a day, I could really control that and eat well. And whereas other types of fasting or other approaches didn't really have an appeal for me. So anyway, that one worked for me. It might not work for you. Uh, but hopefully some of the things that I'm articulating on this channel resonate with some people and can work. That's my hope. Um, I think that's about all I had in mind for today. Um, Again, thank you, everybody that's been subscriber base continues to grow, uh, and I'm still just totally in awe of that and appreciative of it. Um, I see comments, people are leaving comments that I find fascinating, and the interaction between commenters, I didn't realize it, but I quite enjoy that. Um, and I learned from it, and I'm inspired from it. People will just drop in and say, "Hey, thanks. I like this point. Here's what I'm doing," and share some of their story, their journey. And I find that fascinating because the commenters are like me. They're just real people, just people, uh, you know, doing their thing. And I like that, and I find I'm motivated by it, and I appreciate the interaction because I don't know it all, and I'm looking to still learn and I keep my mind open. Um, so despite me giving advice, the general advice, um, I still want to improve. There are better ways, so we need to keep building a community and keep talking. And there's other people doing the same. If you seek them out, you'll find other people who are doing the same. So I appreciate the comments and new subscribers. Uh, it's been a lot of fun. So I guess that wraps it up for today. I just had one long kind of a rant. Yeah, over 35 minutes. That's pretty long for one of my videos. But that's it. I just wanted to get some of these ideas off my chest and throw it out there. I would like to hear what you think about what I said. Um, any part of it you think is good or bad, I don't care. I'm open for criticism as well. Um, just dialogue is good. Um, so subscribe, hit that bell, comment, like, all that kind of stuff. That's all good. And other than that, I'll be trying to come up with more ideas for more videos when I have the time. And I hope to see you all then. For now, take care, everyone, and have a great day.